Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Building Up Main Street in Newcrest. And today we are working on lot number 4 of 5. So we're almost done. If you haven't seen any of the other episodes, I'll link a playlist and you can check those out later. You don't necessarily have to go back and watch them in order. But what we're doing here is building up basically what I would imagine as being Main Street in Newcrest. We're filling it with lots of retail shops and cafes, restaurants, apartments, that sort of thing. Trying to make it really come to life and have that kind of downtown shop feeling. I like little towns like this in real life, so I wanted to do this in The Sims. Anyways, we are building a record shop and a music shop in one. And it also has an apartment above. So yeah, a lot of these are kind of the multi-lots. I'm letting you guys pick. If you download this, you can pick whatever you want to do with this lot. Pick a retail shop or pick well, it won't be an apartment, but a residential lot. And then either way, it just looks lively and realistic, which is exactly what I'm going for here. So this lot, this is when you look at the map, so the main street of the map, all the way on the far right in Newcrest, and then this is the very top right lot. It's an awkward lot. It's very long and narrow, so the other lots have been kind of narrow, a little bit long. This one is extremely long. I do not know why The Sims decided to do this. It would be one thing if it was, excuse me, if it was really wide, but it's so deep. So I had to kind of think, what am I going to put on this lot? How am I going to make this look good without having this really long building? So in the front, we are going to build a parking lot. A decent sized parking lot, not huge, but I figured that looks so realistic. Like, is that not a ton of parking? But very realistic for shops. In my mind, I picture that there's parking in the back, maybe street parking elsewhere, but if you're lucky enough, you can get a spot right up front. The music store here. So this was a ton of fun. My husband is a musician, so I have been in a decent amount of little music stores in my life. I also used to play instruments. So I don't know. If you've been in a small little music shop, I love it. It's so much fun, and it's just this warm, fuzzy feeling of being in there. And what I did here is I basically just took the guitars and kind of hung them on the wall. That is the best I could do. Right now, I am taking the earphones out of debug and I'm making a display for them. So I was actually just recently in a music store, a bigger music store. I needed new headphones, not these. I have some nice headphones I use for editing, and they decided to stop working, so I needed to get some new ones. When we went into this music store, it's kind of big music store, they had a display of headphones. Not exactly like this, but it got me thinking, all right, I know that there's headphones in debug, so I'm gonna take those and make a display. And this is what I came up with. I figured, I can use that sculpture, that bust of a woman, and use that as a display for the headphones. And then these boxes, which, did they come with Eco Lifestyle? I think so. And you can store stuff in them. So, I mean, it's not really going to do anything in the game, and they're not going to be accessible. It's just for looks. I figured most of this is just going to be for looks, especially when we get to the record shop side. You'll see. Yeah, so anything that's on the wall is not going to be able to be listed for sale. I lifted up some of those guitars off the ground, so they're not going to be accessible. There is some accessible stuff, which you'll see that's on the ground, and like the keyboards, you can list those for sale. There'll be some other like equipment stuff that you can list for sale. It'll be minimal things, and most of this is kind of set dressing. Or, like I said, if you turn this into residential, then this is basically all for looks. And then it just looks very real and lived in, and like you actually live above a record store. Here we go though. This is the record shop side. I had to use the tool mod big time for this. I don't know. I got in my head, I'm like, I really want to build a record shop. And we have that we have that record player, which you'll see in a little bit. But it's like, why don't we have any records? And I'm like, I bet I can make this work. So after a very long time, I got it to work. Okay, so to explain what's going on here. So I'm taking all these picture frames and using that file organizing system from Get to Work. And now right now with Tool, I'm slightly angling them back. So like they're kind of sitting, leaning. That took a decent amount of time. And then I had to slightly shrink them down so they look like they fit in there. And then with some of them, I changed like the cover art because I didn't want like all the same albums. So what you see here on camera is just part of it because it took a very long time. For a no CC record shop, I think it turned out really good. I think it looks like it's records. You'll have to let me know what you think. I have seen that there is custom content out there for records. Would be really, really cool. But I don't know. I like the challenge of working with what's in the game. Here, right here. So these are, this was Dream Home Decorator shelves. I was looking through stuff, trying to figure out like, what can I do for what would hold records? And I had the two ideas of the file organizer and then this, because I don't know, I just picture a record shop having these big like wood bins full of records, and then those are some files from Get to Work. It kind of looks like there's some records in there, and then yeah, the same thing, kind of taking those picture frames and sizing them down, angling them, and then yeah, I went in here and took some other artwork and kind of put it on top of, like, I left in a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on, like this. Shrink it, angle it, and kind of push it back with Tool. And I had to take down the wall because the picture frames wanted to snap to the wall. So that's why the wall was gone. Wall is back. These were technically CDs, and I had the CDs up front. And I'm like, you know what? I could size these up, and they're gonna look like records. There you go. You can list those for sale. They're not like weirdly placed or anything. They're actually on the table. So anything that's actually like snapped to the table, you can list for sale, and the Sims will be able to get to it. Here we go. This is some of the other stuff I was talking about for like equipment. This stuff you can all list for sale. So yeah, I know it's not like a record shop. There's a record player. I figured Sims would come and listen to records before they buy them. You could sell the record player. Oh yeah, I had put that sound system in first, and I am like, why? No, they gotta be able to listen to a record if they want to hear what it sounds like. So that's why that's in there. I had to kind of switch some stuff around. Yeah, so I don't know. I think this is pretty cool for, like I said, no custom content. And then, oh yeah, like all the violin bows that are hanging on the wall. I mean, those aren't accessible, but I figured that's something you would come to the music store for. New bows or, you know, anything musical I could find in debug, I tried to put in here to make it as much like a music store as possible. Yeah, like I said. So anyway, I will talk a little bit about the Sims I had in mind for this build. Oh yeah, so we're just quickly, we're going upstairs, and this is the apartment. But the Sims, I don't know. I don't always come up with like a storyline in my head, or I don't necessarily have Sims that I'm building things for. Usually I kind of do. And with this, as I was kind of progressively building it and thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I think I know who lives here, who owns this place. So here's my story here. If Lynn will stay. Are you getting antsy? You want to hear the Sims story? Maybe. He wants his neck scratched. Yes. Okay. So I figured the Sims living here are a newly married couple. And in my mind, they both had a love of music. And I figured they met in where's like the New Orleans world? I can't think of the name right now. The base game world. Yeah, I'll edit that in. I figured that they met in the downtown area at a music lounge, and they both had a love of music, and that's how they met, is over their love of music. So I figured she always wanted to own and open a record store, and he always wanted to own and operate a music store. So they figured that they could do both, 2 in 1, and it would be something they both enjoy. That was just kind of my storyline that I had in my head. Just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. That's, like I said, sometimes I think about The Sims and sometimes I don't. And then also why I'm kind of giving this story is I also figured that their styles would really come into play with how I was decorating and what stuff I was using. I figured she is very much into the 70s 70s fashion, and that's why she just loves records and just been into records, loves the fashion, loves the furniture. So she's very much 70s inspired style of clothing, and she wanted the apartment to be 70s inspired. I figured he's maybe not as much into the 70s. Like, he likes the music, but he's kind of like, oh, whatever. I think he kind of likes more of the modern, and I think that's where their compromise is the music record store is a little bit more modern, and I think he was trying to make sure that the younger people wanted to come here. I think he was a little worried if it was 70s, not as many younger people would want to come. So that was their compromise. So the downstairs is slightly more modern, and then I had the seating area there, as you saw, kind of 70s inspired. But then he didn't care. Like, he let her just decorate the apartment, and he was just happy to have the music store, and just that was his thing. And this is her thing. So that was my little story behind it. It was a bit difficult to do the 70s kind of theme. It had to be like 70s inspired. There's not a lot of 70s stuff in the game. Even like colors and color combinations are not great, but I made some stuff work. I don't know, you can see what you think, but yeah, I don't know, it was challenging, and so I found myself at times kind of sitting and like, what am I gonna do, because I just couldn't get stuff to work all the time. And then where I had like a color palette in my head, and then when I went to go to the game, it wasn't really doable. So it took me a little bit to try to figure all this out. And the fireplace here. So that little cushiony area was actually the sectional, just in case you're wondering, from Dream Home Decorator, and I was able to kind of like sink it down a little bit. I don't know, if I could have put like a bunch of pillows and blankets there, I think that would have been cool, but it's like there's got to be some like cushion. But I figured that's a great place if you want to just read or listen to the music, and you can be right by the fire and it's nice and warm. That's totally my kind of thing. I want to be right by the fire. Okay, so yeah, the bedroom here. As you might notice, I kind of accidentally picked the wrong bedroom for them, because I only styled one bedroom And there is another bedroom, but I made it like music recording, music practice room. And that was the bigger room, and I had meant to make that the bedroom. And I messed up a little bit. Although I feel like this room worked a lot better for the bedroom, and there's way more space in the other room for like music-y stuff, as you'll see, and it's an office. But this also, I mean, it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, so there's plenty of space. If they were to have kids, or if you want to have kids here, you can just restyle that room. There's a nice big huge bathroom that I later connected to this bedroom, and it's also connected to the office. You could have it be the private master suite if you want it to be, and then there's another bathroom off of the dining room. It's totally up to you. The bathroom off the dining room, it's a full bathroom. It's just, I figured that was good for company, and then yeah, if there was kids, just yeah, I made a little boo-boo. Oopsies. Okay, before we go, it's history time. You may know some of this already. This is a little bit more well-known, and maybe you remember this from school. Records, where did records begin? In 1877, Thomas Edison invented the phonograph. So that used a cylinder to record sound and play it back. And then the following year, in 1878, Emil Berliner invented the first gramophone and built the first gramophone. And that device used records. So it's been a long time. Oh yeah, something else. This is really interesting. Do you know when the first ever human voice was recorded? The first ever human voice was recorded in 1860. And the first person that did that was Edward Leon Scott. And he didn't necessarily intend to be able to play back his voice. He was just trying to record it. And it took all the way to 2008 for scientists to be able to recreate his voice. I don't know. That's just crazy. So crazy. And just interesting. And then we're running out of time, but the Victrola, for those of you that know what that is. So basically this was a record player, but instead of having that big huge horn, that was put inside a cabinet, and the Victrola was a really nice, pretty piece of furniture. And I have experience with this. So my grandparents had one, and then my parents later inherited it. And I remember as a kid loving putting records on that thing and listening to it. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And yeah, it's a beautiful piece of furniture. So that's just a little bit of history. You know, you can't leave without that. But we're on the outside now, doing the landscaping and all those fun little touches on the outside. And we are gonna go and let you enjoy the rest of the video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you're enjoying this series, please let us know. Give us a like, subscribe, and comment. I would love to hear from you guys. And stick around because we have one more lot. So yeah, subscribe so you guys can see the last lot. It's a big one, so it's gonna be fun. But until next week, we will see you. Bye.